Hello folks, Abfielder here and welcome to this tutorial video. A few days ago I created a design in 1.16 for a fully AFKable villager farm that provides you with potatoes, beetroot, carrot and bread. And I was sitting here thinking to myself, well, it's all cool, it's all on one layer, but wouldn't it be cool if you could stack it up, assume like that you might want a bigger farm. And yeah, so I had a look at my design. I was like, how can I make this stackable? And I've come up with the following video. And just before I get into that, actually what I wanted to talk about was the fact that I'm not going to show you how to build the first layer of this farm in this tutorial. If you haven't seen my other video, there'll be a link in the description. Go and watch that video first, then come back here. And welcome back if you're just coming back. So now I'm going to show you how to stack this farm, and it's very easy to do. In fact, all you got to do is knock out a couple of blocks of glass in one corner and place some hoppers down, and then you can just expand upwards as much as you like. What I'm then going to show you how to do is integrate the wheat farm as the top layer. Now put as many layers as you want in and then have the wheat layer up the top. Now I've done another tutorial video on how to do an AFK wheat farm because the mechanics are slightly different. You can't just do what I've done here and get wheat, you end up with bread. So to get wheat, you have to kind of fill up the farmer's inventory with seeds, and then you have to run a rail cart around underneath it to pick up the wheat that he can't collect. So yeah, I wanted to integrate that all into one giant farm complex, so you haven't got to do multiple farms. I think that'll look really cool, it'll look really neat. And so we're going to crack on with all that in this tutorial. I'm going to show you how to build it all up. Hopefully you'll find it really informative and have a brilliantly working farm in 1.16 and above. Okay, first off, let's get down to the center pod and break a couple of these glass blocks so we can get down to our hoppers, and just place in some hoppers directly down into one of those. Doesn't matter which corner as long as you do it. So just bring that up to the level of there for now, and that is step one done to make this stackable. Right, next stage, let's place a ring of dirt around the edge of this 3x3 hole. And this is just kind of so we can reference where we've got to do stuff. Right, next thing we want to do is place the fence post in that the next villager will sit on. Okay, and you will notice you can't there's not enough room to place it on that level. So what we want to do is put a temporary block in, and then there we go, we can place the fence post just above that villager's head. Okay, then we want to place two more temporary blocks in, take our trapdoors and surround the top of those two blocks, like so, and then we can punch out those temporary blocks, like that. Not quite like that actually, I accidentally punched out a trapdoor there, just place that back, get the trapdoor back in place and take out those two blocks. Right, the next thing that we need to do is to get some hoppers in there. Okay, so now you need them all going into that hopper that you've placed up at the start. So do something like this, just split them a little bit so your storage doesn't get backed up. I don't think that would be a problem on this farm, to be quite honest, with the yields from a single pod. So yeah, get your hoppers in like that. Okay, now we need to fill out the dirt. So I come off one of the corners from the center here, so this one here, and we'll call this block number 1. Then this will be number 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then you should line up with this bit where it goes in by 2 instead of 1 and do a 3 there, and come off the corner and do another 5 blocks, and then a 3, back around 5, and I've lost count, but yeah, you should end up at the at that bit there, yeah, with the 2, and it should line up on all sides like so, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and that center block there is 5. And cool, and then all we gotta do is fill that in with dirt and do the same for the 4 other pods. And when you're done, it should look like this, and you can go ahead and fill in the entire top layer, just cover it all with dirt. The only thing I would say is the outer edges could be something else if you want to do a fancier block to make your farm look cool, because they're not going to be farmed, they're going to be covered with glass. But you'll see that when we get on with the glass layer next. And as you can see, I've gone ahead and placed in the dirt all over the top of that platform. Like I say, it's really simple to do, just follow the platform and you'll get that right, as long as you've done the first layer right. So let's get on with doing the glass layer. So come down to your center here, you're going to need to place a temporary block in and then as 2 high, and do this for each of the corners over the top of those corner hoppers. It's too high. This is just to stop the farmer villager from getting into these pods. Place a trapdoor at the top there, like so. Now the villager is slightly higher than the player, so if you came up to this, you can actually fall in. But as you can see, the villager will be slightly higher, so he'll just butt up against that door and won't be able to get in. So that's the centre pod done, and we're going to go ahead and build just one of these pods now. So come off your corner block, and that is number 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you do your 3, like we did before, and then 5 again. Just follow the pattern around the edge here. Do your 3 too high. It's all too high, so the villager can farm and can't get out and what have you. And like I say, this is why you can change those edge blocks as well, because they can't be farmed. They're going to be covered in glass. And then 5 more, like so, and you'll be back at the centre block. Farm symmetrical, as I keep on saying, so just follow that pattern around and you'll get all your pods. Which will look like this when you're done. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to, just to see this for a little bit longer, make sure you've got it all right. So next thing we'll do is composters and water sources. Okay, so come into the centre of one of your pods, find the centre block, so find the middle of the 2 free bits there and there, knock out that block. Okay, and then we want to place a water source in there, then we need to place a temporary block and place the composter over the top of the water and a light source on top of the composter like so. Just stops the villager from walking up it. Then for the corner pieces, count out 3, so that is the 3rd one. Knock out the block, put in your water source under the glass and replace that block and do the same on the other side, so 3rd one. And then the outer ones, and I've apologised but I have completely forgot to mention this, but you'll actually need to place some surrounding blocks for this water source, otherwise your water source is going to go all over the place down on the bottom there. So on that 3rd one, place in 2 supporting blocks like so, then you can knock out that block again, place in the water source and then fill that up. Yeah, like I say, apologies about that, I completely forgot. But yeah, if you look where the water source is on the ground floor, place the surrounding blocks so your water doesn't go everywhere. That'll sort you out. Do the same on this side as well. Knock out the blocks, place in your water source, and then do the same for all 4 pods. I've gone and done that, and I've also placed in one of the villagers. There's a couple of things I just wanted to quickly talk about. If you didn't want ugly blocks on the side keeping your water sources in, you can use trapdoors. Works quite nicely, I think, and like I say, those dirt blocks could be replaced with something else. The other thing I wanted to talk about was placing in the villager. So occasionally I've had troubles with them picking up the profession. What I found is it's probably a little bit better to place in the villager before you till the land with the hoe and before you place the light source on the composter. So yeah, that's just a little tip for you. It doesn't always happen, just seems to be a little bit of a bug sometimes. And yeah, I've been able to demonstrate this bug. So yeah, there's a composter there that he can access, but he's just completely and utterly refusing to pick up a profession, even if I have untilled the land and break the composter and put it down. And the time's good, he should pick it up. I was doing some testing, the other ones did. So yeah, what I found for this is just keep placing a composter. Eventually he'll figure it out, and if you can get one and then break it, you should get to the point where he keeps his profession. Then you can just go ahead and retill that land. But if you do it first, it seems to be a lot happier. And you can see here, this is why we put the light source on the top as well, because he keeps jumping on top. So we've got all our villages in, we've got all the crops in, and now all we need to do is put a roof on this thing. So again, I'm going to do just the 1 pod on the video. It's the same for all 4 pods. As I've mentioned so many times during this video and the previous one, the farm is symmetrical. So everything I do can just be repeated for all 4 pods. Once you've got that in, I'll quickly show you how to drop in the light sources so that the crops never go below light level 9, which is the light level they need to grow. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to punch out a hole and go down into the farm to do this. You could pause the video afterwards, I'll show you the light pattern. It's also at the start of the video, it's exactly the same as the layer before. So on the 3 wide blocks, go out to the 2nd one and look directly up, punch it out, stick your light source in. Do that on all 4 sides. So find the 3, go out 2 and put your light source in. Nice and simple. Then we need to do last one here, and then we need to do the corners. So find your water source block, skip the first one on the diagonal, get to the second one on the diagonal and punch your block in. So miss one diagonally though, onto the second diagonal and put your light source in. Same on all four corners. Like so. And we can jump out and I can show you how that looks. I have noticed I put an extra block in on the side there, on each side. I need to get rid of those, but yeah, you can see how the light pattern looks, and that's the same for all four. So I'm going to go ahead and stick a roof on the whole thing. Okay, and there we go. Feel free to pause the video, copy the roof and the light pattern as you need. And that's it. That's how you make the farm stackable. And if you want to add more layers to this, then go ahead and do that now. I'm going to leave it at 2, so I've got the base layer and the first level that we've just built, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you how we build the wheat layer, which, like I said, is going to be different, and I kind of recommend you put it at the top because of that. So yeah, let's crack on with the wheat farm. Right, and the first thing we want to do is, similar to what we did before, is break out the glass blocks in one of the corners. Like that, and then we want to place hoppers going directly into it and come up one above the previous ceiling level. We then need to put in another layer of blocks. So yeah, go ahead and do that. It's got to cover the entire ceiling. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that off camera. But like I say, just cover it all up, and you can cover up the center hole as well. Right, I've gone ahead and done that, and I've marked out my center blocks just with a different block so you can see where the center is in this tutorial. You don't have to do it, but it might make things a little bit easier for you if you do just choose a different block. It doesn't have to be stone, can be anything. So there we have it. Let's go on with the unloading system first for this farm. So listen to this bit carefully because some of these bits are just for show, but you can absolutely follow this. So place a hopper into that one there, so knock out the block, place the hopper, and then place a block behind, above, that will stop the rail cart, and then place 2 bits of powered rail on top of these hoppers, so you'll have to sneak place them. Now I'm just going to go ahead and just do a little rail circuit here just to demonstrate how this works. So you can ignore this little bit now where I've just put this block in. I'm just going to demonstrate it, but now this is the unloading circuit, so you do need to follow this part. So punch out one block there, skip one and knock out another block. So what we want to do off the first one is place a comparator coming off that hopper. Okay, and then opposite we want to place a redstone torch off that, and then a block on top of the redstone torch. We then want to place a repeater in the middle there, and then a block above where your comparator was. And that is the unloading circuit. I'm just going to demonstrate how it works. So let me just power this block and we'll stick a hopper minecart on it. Let's get our hopper minecart, and as you'll see, it'll keep running infinitely because those are both powered. Now, if we get some items, and let's get a stack of iron blocks and chuck them on the rails here, the hopper minecart will pick them up. It'll come over to the hopper, and that circuit that we put in will detect that there are items going through the hopper and unpower the rails, and that will hold it in position until the hopper is empty, not the minecart, the hopper. And then once it's empty, it'll go on its way again. So you can copy everything that I did on the center blocks. I am just going to punch out these rail blocks here because they were just for show, but everything else stays. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So now I'm going to go ahead and place in everything else. Okay, so I've gone ahead and lined the outside with a block and then placed in all my rails. Now, as you can see, it's a bit of a mess. But this is the most efficient way I've found of doing it. We missed the odd block because of how the farm is laid out, but it should still pick up pretty much 99% of all the items dropped by the farmer. You can use less powered rails. I wouldn't recommend it just because you don't want that minecart to get stuck. If you do use less, just experiment with what works to get that minecart all the way back round to the home point. So yeah, go ahead, pause the video and copy this as best you can. And you know, don't blame me here, this is the villager mechanics. So yeah, once you've got all this in, we'll return. Okay, go ahead, get some building blocks and just mark out your center blocks like you have done on the previous layers, And then, same as before, get your dirt blocks and fill in this entire layer with dirt. I'll be back when I'm done. Okay, so I filled in that entire layer with dirt, and I've put in 2 high blocks in the centre there. I don't need the trapdoors on this layer because there's going to be no villagers. And I'm just going to do the one pod like I've done on previous layers. It's exactly the same. You may be wondering, do I need to put the glass in? Can I use the extra blocks on this layer for farmland? You could. But I don't really recommend it because of the way the villager mechanics work and how far away they'll see a block that needs harvesting. It's probably not worth it. So if they're all over one side, if you put 4 villagers in, they're all over one side, and a block on the other side needs harvesting, then they're not going to see it straight away. They're going to have to work their way back there. So yeah, I would still recommend you just go ahead and split this into 4 separate pods. So I'm going to go in, put all the composters, the water sources in. It is identical to the layer below. And then I'll show you what we need to do with the villagers. And of course I said identical, and there is actually a slight difference with this one, and it's because you've got the rails below. So when you knock out the blocks for the water sources, put in a slab on the lower half and then put your water source in so you don't lose your rails. Same for the ones under these pieces of glass. Put a slab in. Put that dirt block back because that would be silly. Knock out that glass, then put your water source in, and then you can put your glass block back. Same on the other side. So yeah, just knock out the glass block, knock out the soil, put a half slab in, put your water on top, and then you can replace the block. You're okay on the outer edges because there is a solid block. So if I just knock out this one, there we go. And yeah, you've got a solid block. So you'll still need your trapdoors to keep your water in, but you don't need to put a slab on that side. Right, we've got all our stuff in, our composts and what have you, so there's just some modifications we need to do before we put the villager in. So we don't want the villager getting to the composter, so we're going to surround the composter with trapdoors and place it on the lower half of the block above the light source that you've got in there. And that will stop him dropping any stuff in that composter. Okay, next thing that we need to do is get our hoe, and we need to just till all the land, and then we want to get our seeds and we want to plant this all up. Don't skip this part, okay? You need to do this. You need to put all the seeds in, and you're going to need quite a lot of seeds to do this. If you don't do this right, you're not going to get wheat like you want. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we've finished all that, and I've just placed in some temporary blocks just to demonstrate this. Obviously, you'll be getting your villager from your breeder. You'll notice I've got 8 stacks of seeds in my inventory. You need to do this before you put the villager in. Give him all 8 stacks of seeds. You need to fill up his inventory. He's got 8 inventory slots. Once you've done that, you can then get your villager in. To make sure you give him the 8 stacks, and then get your villager in place. And then you'll need him to pick up the farmer profession. Now the trapdoors we placed in may stop him from doing that, so just break one out temporarily. And let me just grab a replacement. There we go. He's picked up the farmer profession. So we can go ahead and replace that trapdoor so he can't get to the composter. And that's it. He'll now break the wheat, the rail cart, pick it up, and we're all good. Okay, so I've just used a bit of bone meal on these fields just to get them up and running. And as you can see, he is harvesting the crops. He's leaving some wheat and he's leaving some seeds on the ground. And there we can just see some disappear, and that's the minecart going around underneath and picking them all up. So if we head down into the storage now, the one nice thing I found about this while I was recording this video is the 2 layers of the previous farm have been working superbly. So you can see I've had to chuck tons of stuff out of these hoppers and this single chest storage that I just put in here when I did the first tutorial. And as we can see, the seeds are dropping down now. And that's because I placed quite a lot. I gave one of the villagers extra seeds because I was a little bit concerned he'd thrown some in the composter, and I didn't want him to do that. I wanted his inventory full. So yeah, I'm just clearing this out so we can just, you know, show that the wheat does indeed drop down because it's that full of stuff. So yeah, this is just going to take a minute or 2 to drop through and clear because it's been backing up for a little while. So obviously you need a better storage system than I've done here. And it took a couple of minutes, but there we have it. The wheat is finally making its way through the system. So that's the end of the tutorial, folks. All you need to do is stick the ceiling on with the light sources, exactly as we did for the previous layers. and you're done. You can stack it up higher if you want, but like I say, while I've been working on this was sending through so much stuff, I had to clear out these chests, so you're probably okay with it at that level. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my stuff, hit the subscribe button. But for now folks, that's all we got time for. I'm Abfielder. Goodbye.